And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in the world. It is I, John D, a.k.a. Too Much, and my wife,
Kanika,
a.k.a.
Do.
And we are doing Too Much Podcast. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine. You?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. It's quite cold this morning.
I'm sorry, it is.
Yeah. Well, this is by far the coldest day of the year. And we walked the dogs to the corner and brought it on back.
The thing is if you say eat, they'll turn around too. And they'll be like, oh, we cutting it short.
Yeah, they, well, it says that it's 8 degrees and it feels like negative 14 now. It was negative 13 when we were out there, but I don't think I would have been able to determine the difference between negative 13. It was really cold.
No, it's really pretty though.
It is. And it's supposed to snow a little bit more today, but it's going to be a fun day. We got some family activities to do that we were preparing, and I'm excited. I saw the post you sent me on one of those apps and showing different families doing games. I was like, this is going to be really fun because I feel like the family activities are definitely increase around this time of year.
Yeah.
And we don't have to stress about being creative because these people have already done it for us.
Yeah, it'd be as simple as some Solo cups or a bag of cotton balls. I saw,
Tea lights.
Yeah, the tea lights. I was like, okay, I could do.
I know you guys don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about different materials you can use around the house to compete with your family, just to create a little fun competition.
So one I saw though was like a flower vase, and it was clear, and they filled it all the way up to the top, and everybody got water in their cup, and it was like they're supposed to put water in there but keep it from going over the top and see how high you can get the water above the top of the vase. Look, the ways that people were finding to put a little bit of water on top of it. But that looked fun. Shoot, it was some with money. And I've seen this a number of times where they'll have certain bills under each tea light, and depending on how far you go, how
much you get.
Somebody else had it where it was like singles on the table, and I have to show you this one. They would scoop, you'd be blindfolded, and then you have to use a spatula to scoop money onto a plate, But there was one that I thought was really interesting. So you get like 2 things of saran wrap, and then you get a bunch of stuff, like maybe like a gift card to some $10 to a coffee shop, or you might be little candies or whatever the case may be. And you roll them up into the saran wrap. So you might put candy in there and you roll it up, and then you put a gift card, you roll it up, and you keep going where you're adding gifts, and it becomes this big old ball of saran wrap with gifts throughout it. And so there's the first person that starts with the saran wrap ball, and their job is to keep unwrapping the ball and get as many things out of it before the person next to them throws doubles on some dice.
Oh.
So the person is throwing the die and they're trying to get the double. And while they're doing it, the other person is like feverishly trying to open up this saran wrap ball. And so, some people don't get to the prize by the time somebody hits a double. Some people, they were getting multiple prizes before somebody hit a double. But that one looked fun.
Wonder what kind of surprises or things that they have in this ball. I gotta see that.
And then there was another one where there were a bunch of paper plates all along the floor in a circle, and they had some type of gift on each of them. It could be a gift card, it could be candy bags, whatever the case may be. And each of the plates was attached to a string. All the strings got pulled into the center, and they were like fished through. It looked like a can, something. So then you go in and you make a decision of what string you're going to pull, and whatever string you pull, it pulls the plate closer to you so you know what your gift is. So nobody can really say, oh, I want this or I want that.
Yeah.
You just go in, you
Whatever.
pull, and whatever comes to you, comes to you. So it was one little girl, she got like money, and people were mad because they was getting, she didn't care about no money. She was a little girl. But she went and pulled her string and she got money, and other people were getting like, still gift cards or, simple things that people can find, things at the dollar store, a manicure kit, all that other stuff. So it was like, I could definitely see maybe doing, depending on the number of people in your family, that could be expensive, especially the money grab one. I was like, how long that game go before? But it was interesting to watch. I think a previous year I saw, it's like you have lines taped along your table, and if you can roll this heavy can-like thing, or however far it goes, you get that gift. And at one part of the line, it was an Xbox, and the kid rolled it past that line to get an Xbox. He was so excited. The family was cheering for him and everything. I was like, that is really awesome. Won't be no Xboxes up in this month. That's too expensive to be playing around with just any old kind of game.
I think that's a game that they would have to actually ask for.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then we'll say, hey, if you get past this is your prize.
Oh, that's horrible. We ain't purchasing it until after the game, though.
So, it's interesting that you brought that up, different things, that you sent that, because today I want to talk about healthy things in a relationship or in a household. What does a healthy household look like to you?
A place where people want to be at home.
All right, so
it's loaded. So I feel like a healthy household is somewhere where you feel safe and comfortable. Like you're not trying to, I know listening to you, you always talk about how you were trying to get out of the house when you were little. I think it's a place where everybody feels safe and comfortable to be. And like, if you live in a place where parents fight, or, people are stressed often, or
stressed from like what?
From work, or, sometimes other family members' problems pour into your household.
Yeah.
I think that where people, like in my sense of being, I remember I was having a hard time, stressed out. You and I were trying to figure out a lot of things, being, in separate countries and all the other stuff. And I remember sometimes I would just have to leave the house. It's not that the kids stressed me, but just the whole my life, like things were definitely not feeling good between you and I. We were in a pandemic and the kids were shut up in rooms. Like, nobody was really communicating. Nobody was really connecting at all. And it's crazy. None of us were really, I would say we're not bothering each other, but we weren't really bothering each other. We just weren't connecting like we used to. And me and the kids, we used to do a lot of stuff together. And the fact that we would operate in that house and not see each other like until a meal was off. But even though it was lonely in the house, I still had to leave. So I know that there are other characteristics, but it's the feeling of a healthy house, I guess is what I'm saying, is a place where you want to come home, you want to see each other, or you feel like this is the safe place. An unhealthy household or relationships in your household definitely aren't going to make you feel safe and secure.
Yeah. So I guess it's more so to recognize, I wanted to talk about this for people to know that maybe they're not in a safe place. They're not creating the safest place for their kids, but they think that they're doing the best that they can. But I just want them to be able to recognize it, because a lot of things we go through we assume we're just supposed to go through it. But some things that we go through, we didn't ask for. It was presented to us, to our parents, or our environment introduced it to us.
Right.
And like creating a safe place to me is pretty much what you said. But I wanted to go a step further because I was thinking like our relationship.
Okay.
Our relationship has to look like a safe place for the kids to even feel safe in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think the elements of a healthy relationship looks like?
Okay. I think disagreements that are resolved in a respectful manner.
What does that look like when you say a respectful manner?
Number one, we're not lashing out with like yelling or cursing or whatever the case may be. I definitely have had times where we've been at odds and I have to like not engage with you for a while. But being able to come back, I know there have been times that you and we've come back together to talk about a disagreement and the kids have been somewhere around. Like, I don't mind the kids being around when we resolve problems. Because I think one of the things that I told you before is I used to hate when we would get in arguments and I didn't like how it was going. And so I would stop communicating until we were calm. And then we would end up going into a private place and resolving it. And then it looks like I punked out. Now, this is what I mean by that. Like, we would get into it and sometimes, we would get heavy-handed or heavy-worded with how we handled one another. And then all of a sudden, I would just stop. And then the next time the kids see us, it's like they don't see anything get resolved. They don't hear anything about it. It just looked like I conceded to whatever you wanted. And I don't think that kids should always know what you're arguing about or always hear you resolve your issues. Mm-hmm. But I do think that there needs to be some time where they are able to see it modeled appropriately for their own relationships. My biggest concern, I remember, is telling you, I don't want Day to ever feel like she's going to get upset and express her feelings to her partner, and then they're expressing their feelings, and then she shuts down and then gives up. And then the next thing you know, the next thing she sees us enjoying each other, and it just looks like I got punked out. You know what I'm saying? For lack of a better term. But I want them to know that when there's a disagreement, there's a way of managing it. Like, you don't just stop and then it's over or give up. You do come back. It's okay to not handle it right now and handle it later. And when we would come back and talk, it had to be a calm space. Like, when we're talking, there's no raising of voices. It's like, well, this is how I felt. We talk a lot about feelings and how we interpret things and apologize in the moment. Like, we were walking yesterday and you brought up something from, I don't even know how long ago, but you were like, that really impacted me. And I didn't even realize it impacted me as much as it has. But yeah, you said that to me. And I said, wow, I don't even recall saying that, but I apologize because that's rude, or it's not a caring thing to say to somebody. And so I think that being able to own that you should apologize. Like, there shouldn't be a time where you be like, well, but did you do something wrong? So apologize.
Yeah.
Those types of things. I think being able to resolve something in a manner where you don't have to yell, scream, cuss. Nobody is getting belittled. Everyone is heard. Everyone is acknowledging their faults, and everyone's feelings are being acknowledged when you hurt them. All of that stuff is important. I think that when you reserve all resolutions of conflict in a private place, your kids never get an idea of what it looks like to resolve a conflict appropriately.
Yeah.
And then they end up in relationships and they can't figure out, then they're at the mercy of whoever was watching their parent cuss each other out or whatever the case may be.
Or hoping that they even understand how to effectively handle a conversation with conflict.
I remember growing up, my parents, my mom, they did not resolve conflicts in front of us. And I know that it's generationally, kids don't need to be in adults' business. I agree with that. But I do think that there are some things that it's okay for the kids to know that we don't agree with that. Even an example of Day in the crop top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They wore this crop top hoodie to school, and I didn't see a problem with it. It wasn't like directly under her breast, but I didn't see a problem with it. John did. He expressed it in front of Day. I didn't agree. And that was another thing you were talking about. We need to be a united front. We need to have the same ideas, the same thoughts. And I struggle with that because I said, we're different people. And we need to show the kids that people can think in a lot of different ways. And it's okay to be partners with someone who thinks differently than you, because that means you're respecting their experience, their values and things like that. But I also don't think that those things should clash in a sense of confusing your kids or, so we came to a resolution about her wearing crop tops. It is not going to be done at school, even though later on we found out that people was just wearing sports bras, but whatever. But it was for her to be able to express to me, like, she was like, I don't understand. When you left out of the room, she was like, I don't understand. Why is it that I can't? And this is how I express myself and XYZ. And I had to explain to her that I understood where she was coming from. However, I recognize that when you and I may not agree on something, we got to err on the side of whoever feels like they're trying to keep somebody safe or whatever the safest option. And so that's why we're going to err on the side of what your dad wants, because you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And so even with that, I was able to verbalize with her that I did not agree, but I understand. And sometimes you have to sit there and think, is it my stance, their stance? What side should we take? Is it a compromise? And I even told her, I said, there's no compromise between this. Whether I think you should or your dad doesn't, we have to err on the side that keeps us the safest. Or, it's not ever going to hurt you to wear a shirt that drops below your pant waist. You know what I'm saying? But we don't know who's out in your schools. And we've talked about this before. We don't know these kids or the way that society is now. We don't know anything. And so we're just trying to make sure we're covering all the bases. But I think even in that, I wanted her to understand that you and I don't always have to agree, but it doesn't mean that we got to blow up in a fight. And sometimes you have to be the person to say, does it have to be what I want? Like what side is going to be the best side, even if it's not the side that I personally agree with. And that was important for me to display to her. And in that case, I wasn't really able to display it to Dallas. But that's another thing about healthy relationships, is you don't always have to be the one that come out on top. Whatever happens, just, are we happy? Are we able to be comfortable and happy and safe in the end?
Exactly. I guess I don't want, when you say come out on top,
Mm-hmm.
I think even that verbiage sounds like somebody's won. And I don't want to come across that way. I just want to make sure that we're making the best decisions. And I know when you say you don't agree with it, but you understand, to me, I feel like if you don't agree with it, it's because you still don't understand. And I'm just trying to explain, because if you're going to err on the side of safety, then I don't understand how it could, like, how you don't agree with it.
Oh, okay. So this is the thing. I didn't feel like she was in danger. I didn't feel that what she wore was something that would put her at risk. But I understood that you felt like it did. I didn't. And I have another feeling. I mean, I have my bigger thought of it is I don't think that Day's clothes should be determined by whether or not somebody else is able to control themselves or their hormones or their thought processes. I don't.
But see, that's to me, when you say that, then she can wear a leotard every day.
No, but what I'm saying to you is there was nothing provocative about her outfit.
See, that's all relative,
yes.
also.
And so
and perspective.
What I did was I didn't feel like there was a problem with anything that she had. But I spoke to her from your standpoint. We're going to say, if it's about you being safe, let's just side on this way. But I didn't think that it was a problem with her as far as safety.
I guess that's what it is then. So I was only talking about safety, and you guys were talking about what was appropriate or not. And that was the miscommunication, because it's almost like I want her to express herself in any way she wants to.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I was thinking about the safety aspect. So when you say I don't agree, are you disagreeing with the safety aspect? No.
Yeah.
How are you?
Well, I disagree with the idea that she's unsafe. I don't think that was an issue with safety. However, I know it was your concern, and so that's what I told her.
So did you understand the concern as far as the safety aspect of it? So even after I explained it to you?
Because I feel like that's not something. There are two things that I think about this. One thing I think about it, one of the points I have is that there was nothing about what she wore to me that appeared to be inappropriate or provocative. That's my first thing. And when I say that, I've gone shopping with Day, and there are certain things that I'm like, oh, Day, this cute. She'll be like, because it shows too much. So she has in her mind how she's going to respect her body and what she feels is appropriate. And so I don't have an issue with that. Also, that hoodie came from me. And so why wouldn't she feel like something that her mom gave her is something safe for her to wear?
I'm not referring to Day anymore.
Okay.
This is between you and I now, because I'm like, to me, I guess there's miscommunication with, if I'm telling you that I know boys think like this, and I've been in education, and it's almost like I don't agree with I don't know. It feels like you disagree.
I disagree with you that she needed to have that restriction. I disagreed also that she was not safe, or that something was going to happen with a boy. And one of the reasons is that I don't think that even before the C in Dallas's school, I don't think that clothes in and of themselves like put boys into hyperspeed sexually. Hold on. I also don't think that women should be restricted based on this, generation long conversation about how boys are tempted by women, and so they have to do this in order for him to be more than just a wild animal. And then the other thing about it is, if you and I are looking at it, I just don't see and I've tried to put this in Day in Dallas's head as well. We've had conversations about sexual assault. It don't matter what you're wearing. If somebody want to disrespect you, grab your butt. I was a girl in high school. Somebody want to grab your butt, rub up on you, say something wild. They don't care what you're wearing. You could be wearing a sweatsuit and some Nikes. They don't care. You could be wearing booty shorts and a tank top. It doesn't matter.
It does matter. And I'm going to tell you why it does. Because if a woman is comfortable with wearing certain things, in young men's minds, I do know this because I was a former young man, and I'm just saying, and I don't want to make it seem like you don't understand this, but at the end of the day, young men will gay if it's two women that are wearing clothes that is showing something that's professional or whatever you want to say, that's nice looking, and another person who's covering up. Men are probably going to look at this other one a lot more. So they're going to have an option of like, if she's comfortable with this, it's more likely for the, so she may not even go like that. She may not even be the type of person like that. But in the mind of a young man, it seems more likely for her to go a little further because she's a lot more comfortable with her body.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like the safety aspect is this. If a young man decides to target any young woman, they're going to go with something that they feel like that's more comfortable, a lot more easier. And I feel like I know who Day is, and you know who she is also. This could give her a unfair description because of what she got on, and she's not even about that. So I don't want her to end up like being put in a situation with an ignorant little kid. That's all I'm saying. Like, I want her to wear what she wants. Like, I really do. So when I say I'm not worried about her making bad decisions. I'm worried about the decision of an ignorant kid. And if we can't look at it that way, it looks like I'm being a hater of my daughter's clothing, and I'm not. And if you think, like, when you talk, it makes it seem like I am. And I don't want, so that's what I'm saying. There's a miscommunication between you and I, because I feel like when you say I disagree, you're not understanding what I'm talking about, because you shouldn't be disagreeing with me. And apparently I can't put it into words for you to understand, because I want my daughter to be happy. I want her to wear what she wants. I am that father. I know I am. And if it doesn't sound like that, it's because my words it's not matching up.
No, this is the other thing. I completely understand what you're saying. I understand. I just don't agree for other reasons. I feel like if we're weighing all of these things on a scale, I just don't feel like that should be that's the thing. I don't agree. That's just what I'm saying.
But that's what I'm saying, because I
understand what you're saying. I completely wholeheartedly understand. You are saying it to me in ABCD order, and I get it.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you say it, I know that you don't understand.
No, I do. You
sound
I'm
like
looking like when I'm thinking about what is it that they will and won't wear, and I understand that. To me, that ain't nothing compared to what you see people wear, like, at all. I
don't care about any other person. I only care about the way that guys look at young ladies.
Okay. And
so I'm only giving a one perspective. That's all I'm giving.
And that's why I said we're going to side with your dad.
I know, but like, even when you say it, it sounds like that's why we're siding with your dad. Like,
no, I explained it to her.
Oh, I get it, but
I explained it to her as if it were my stance. Like I said, look, your dad has been a teenage boy. He has ideas of what boys look at when they see girls and what they're wearing, and he just doesn't feel comfortable. And we don't know what people are thinking or what they're going to do. So what we're going to do is we're just going to make sure that that's not going to be a concern. It might be other things that make people act the way they act. It's not going to be how you present yourself in your clothes.
So you don't think that it would confuse her with you saying, I disagree with him, but I understand? Because it confuses me.
No, because when I explained to her, I said, this is why I disagree. I disagree because I feel like what Day does should not be considered, you know they acting like that because she's dressed like that. No, they're acting like that because they're making choices. But I also understand that Day and I and everyone else lives in a world where men are, even young guys, are given this pass to be almost controlled by other people. What other people do, it triggers them, like I said, like a wild animal. It's like an untrained animal. Like, oh, he did that because of how she's dressed. But like, if a dude is running down the street in shorts and no shirt on, does a woman get to rape him on the street? And it's like, they did that because of how he was dressed. No, it's like women's reactions. It's expected that it's more thoughtful and and
I feel like you comparing me to what other men have done in the past.
No, that don't even have nothing to do with
That's the what I'm feeling.
Listen,
and I'm talking about, you said that when men do this, we give them an excuse. So you're comparing what I'm saying to what men have done in the past. And I'm saying this as her father, as her parent. I want you to understand that I want her to have the freedom to wear what she wants.
I know you do.
But when you tell her and say that you disagree, it makes me feel that, and I don't like, that's what I said. Like, I can't even explain it to the point where you truly understand. Like, I understand all your other points, but if you're going to err on the side of safety, we shouldn't be mentioning why you disagree.
I don't think so. I think that it's always important for her to be able to hear all the sides. But my thing about what I was saying to her is my expectation doesn't align with our society. Like, I don't think that what she wears should be considered as something that might trigger or distract a boy or do whatever. I think that that's outdated thinking. However, I know that these young men, and even like the men your age and older, the men even younger, they understand that messaging. Did you see what she was wearing? Well, did you see this? Or you see the body on her? Did you see that? I know that everyone is hardwired to look at how a woman, you know how they said, like, don't teach a woman how not to get raped. Teach a boy not to rape a man to not rape a woman. And so the idea to me is, I feel like I expect young men to have just as many neurological functions going on where they understand how to make a decision, not based on just what they see, and then their tongue falls out like on the cartoon and the leg is like, like I feel like I would explain to her that in a perfect world, we wouldn't have to worry about what a girl has on or whatever could entice or distract a boy. But that's the world we're in. I don't think that what she does should be impacted by other people. But I also know that that's how society works. I also know that the whole boys will be boys thing, even though people don't say it like that as much anymore, it's an understanding. The boys have more leeway to do inappropriate things because it's the idea of, but what was she wearing? What does she look like? What is she? And it's the world we live in. So I understand where you're coming from, because it's the world she lives in. So if you
describe that and you sound like you do it, but then you say, but
because I'm saying
all of these other things, and this is all I care about is this society that we live in. Well,
yes, and I know, and that's why I said to her, I said, this is why your dad just wants to err on the side of safety, and I agree. But yes, but I acknowledge that she respects herself and how she presents herself. I acknowledge that how she dresses is how she expresses herself best, and she wants to feel free and comfortable to make the decision she wants, because she likes how Day takes time to think about how she looks. She does not like to show a lot of body. But
that's what I'm saying. Like right now, I feel like you're telling me things that I already totally understand.
I know.
And I know.
And that's what I'm trying to say to you is that I want her to understand that I acknowledge that she as a person should be allowed to express herself how
So when
she
you say
wants.
you don't say me and your father acknowledges that it's just you. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference when you say I agree with your father. Well, I don't agree with him, but I understand. So when you say I acknowledged her, you didn't acknowledge it together. Like, because I just told you, I feel the same way that you do. But you make it seem like I did this because, look, this is what your father said. Mm-hmm. I disagree. You acknowledge these points. Well, I'm on your side. I agree with you.
Well, I was saying at the at the end of the day, the stop is he's saying that this has to happen. I would say that it doesn't have to happen, but then I'm not acknowledging whether or not we're still living in the society we lived in growing up. But she also understands, you said, I just don't want you wearing this in school. You can wear this when you go out. And I said to her, I said, you can still wear it when you go out. You just can't wear it at school. And she said, but I'm going to be exposed to even more people out, outside of school and adults. And I said, I understand. I said, but you're going to be with us. What's the probability that you're going to be out somewhere and you're not going to be with us anyway?
See, I think that wasn't the point of her being able to wear it outside of school.
I know, but what I'm saying to you is that her biggest thing was not really about safety. It was about her being able to express herself, and she feels like we've always allowed it, so it seemed weird to her. And she had seen people at school and how they dressed, and she knew that wasn't the way that she would dress. And
this is another thing, the reason why she's supposed to check with her parents to seek counsel, because if she doesn't have parents, she's going to wear what she wants.
Yeah, and I know we have a cousin that does.
But
what I'm saying to you is that in the moment when we were having the conversation, you were doubling down on, I needed to understand where you were coming from because these boys. And when the conversation was over, you and I hadn't focused on the fact of you agreeing with my stance until after we had a conversation later. You did say to her, you said that, she said in the conversation to us, she said, but this is how I express myself, through my clothes. And you said, I understand, but I just feel that I want this, and this. When she and I were talking, I said, I believe you should be able to express yourself through your clothes. I understand, but your dad is looking at it from this stance as a man and as someone who's been around young boys in high school, and we're just going to err on the side of safety.
You don't see how it looks like that y'all are, like, now I understand how the family looks at me, because like I am not able to be clear and concise with my information to say that, hey, the only reason why we're not doing this is because of this. Okay. Like I trust in your creativity or you to express yourself, but when you when the way that I'm receiving the information, it sounds like we're divided. Okay. It's like we're going to be on a united front because we're going to err on the side of safety, but I totally disagree. That's what I'm hearing. And to me, I feel like that's not fair, because I can't put words together for you guys to know, like, I want her to have everything you said you wanted to have without it looking like I'm putting my foot down because I can't express myself correctly.
Well, I didn't think that it was. I'm sorry if that's what it looks like.
Well, that's what it feels like. Yeah, that's how it's always felt like. That's the reason why we're having, like, that's why I was like, I wanted to have this conversation, because I feel like this is a healthy, a real live conversation, like in our household, where I'm not trying to bother you, but I don't want to be misunderstood in the fact that I want her to express herself. Like, sometimes when you say things, you kind of give like an extreme example, like her wearing, like guys wear, like a woman wears whatever, and that's why a man jumped on her. Like there's subtle things that young men can look at. Like a woman that dresses too sexy or provocative, a lot of men won't even approach her because they're not as confident. But somebody that they feel like is a regular person and is creative, it just opens up different things. And I guess ultimately, I just want you guys to know that I want her to express herself in any way, form, but at the same time, I want her to be safe. I want her to understand why. I want her to be like, okay, the reason why I can't wear this is because this, and this, not because my father thinks that, he doesn't want me to express myself. Because when you stated it, it sounded like I didn't want her to express herself. And I said in there, in the kitchen, I said, it have nothing to do with you expressing yourself. I want you to, but it's still like, it didn't cross to, like, it didn't, like, coming to you. You didn't say, like, I felt like I wasn't supported. I felt like I was the bad guy. Just like when y'all went to the store and it was like father wouldn't
I thought that was cute.
It's cute to you because you're not the bad guy. Like there's no story in this family where I want to be like the bad guy. I want to be the guy with like he's going to protect us the best way he can, but he's going to make sure that, you know, we can have as much fun as possible. But when you talk, it's like no fun zone.
When I talk, it's
well, about me, for me, like in reference to me, it's like,
no,
your father is like put in the iron fist.
No, I wasn't. Excuse me, I wasn't. It wasn't like I was like, you know, I want you to express yourself, but your dad wants to like throw the wet blanket on you. It's regardless of how you dress. He understands that there are people who see it this way or may interpret it this way, and he is just trying to avoid that.
I am.
Look, I know, and you had already said before you left out of the room, when she said that to you, you said, I want you to express yourself. I want you to do that. And there's nothing that you do that makes it look like you don't want her to. Any way Day can express herself, you are all for it.
Even when you don't want her to express herself with wild stuff.
Yes. And so, I mean, there are certain things. It's interesting. The thing that gets you, though, I recognize, is her clothing. Everything else is not really as much of a problem. But
like an example, like what do you mean?
Like, okay, so her the white shirt that's off the shoulder. So she has one white shirt that's long sleeve. It goes.
I don't like that.
I know you don't like it. That's what I said.
Oh,
you don't like it.
Well, I mean, because to me, like again, it's revealing. It's
one. Okay, so it's just like a regular long sleeve fitted shirt, but then one side, the shoulder is out, and he did not like that. And last year she was wearing the shirt and you didn't say anything, but this year it was something about this year you were like,
No, I didn't see it then. There's no way. Look, check this out. I don't just switch. Okay. Like it's already on. Like I already know. To me, like I did it too long.
Yeah.
So I'm automatically looking. So if I see my daughter in it, I'm already gonna say something because to me, I feel like somebody's gonna say something to you, and I don't want anybody to ruin your day. Even though nobody's gonna ruin her day there because nobody's gonna say anything. But that's the programming that I have.
I understand. But just to swing back real quick, the incident that he's talking about when I was out with the kids, Day and Dallas were looking for some clothes to wear to an event, and we were in a store. Day wanted a black dress, and we were in a store, and she picked this dress up just because it was black and took it off the rack. The dress was like a spaghetti strap body, like a slip dress, but over top of it, it had like a lace. It was a lace overlay. It buttoned up. It had ruching where it was like gonna emphasize all types of shape and everything. As soon as she picked it up, she paused and Dallas said, "Father would never go for that." And she was like, no. And she put it right back on the rack. And we laughed. Now we laughed not because you're the only one that would stop somebody from wearing that. I think Dallas said it because Dallas did not want Day in it. But even when Day looked at it, she didn't look at it like the dress she ended up finding. When she picked it up, the look on her face was like, this is what I want. Day does not like clothes that you can just find and everybody at her school is going to have. And so the look that when they picked up that dress, it just looked like the regular schmegular girl trying to be seen, you know, and that's not Day. She doesn't want to be exposed like that. She's a balance of being kind of conservative with her clothing, but she likes to be adventurous a bit. She's not somebody where you're going to see her like trying to be naked. I need the back to be out. I need it. I remember I tried to show her a tank top and the back was out and she was like, She has this idea of how she wants to look. So when she picked that dress up, I knew that dress didn't even look like it was her personality.
I'm not worried about that.
I know, but we all had the same thought. Like,
yeah, and I don't want y'all to be having these thoughts. No,
stop
see,
to it. But it wasn't in a bad way.
But my point is, why didn't he say, "Mother, you would never allow this"? See, that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, I feel like it's pick and choose what's going to be the bad guy's position.
No, I think because
that's why you laugh, because you know dang well. Don't try to.
No, I think that it's just because you've made a statement about what you want her to wear and what you don't. I don't say I want you to wear this or I don't want you to wear it.
I don't tell her what I want her to wear. I say what she can.
Yes. So this is what I mean. When I'm out with Day, she doesn't pick up things that I feel are racy. Usually she tells me no. So I'm not usually somebody who says, no, you can't have that, or that doesn't look, because she colors more so inside the lines than I do. So even though that dress, I would never let her get that dress anywhere near outside the building. But I knew it wasn't her personality anyway. But as soon as it came off the rack, that was the first thing Dallas said. And it was funny. But I understand what you mean. I get what you mean. Even the idea of it seeming like you are somebody who, like, you're the police officer. And you're not the police officer.
I don't want to be.
I know, but you know what? I think I don't mind, and this is me and my past coming forward. I think I don't mind it because my dad was nothing like that. My dad didn't care.
He didn't know to care, probably. And you didn't dress like that anyway. Look. I seen your pictures. Don't even trip.
No, but I'm saying...
You are one of the most conservative dressing.
No, when I was in high school, y'all.
I've seen pictures. Don't trip.
I used to try to wear a lot of body clothes.
Stop it.
I did wear a lot of jumpsuits and stuff, but anyway. But what I'm saying is you're a father that it's like you're walking in front of Day as she's going in life, and you're trying to push everything out of her way.
I tell you this, if your father was an educator, his ass would have been, hey, this isn't like...
He was a dude, a GM.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You only know what you know. So I was blessed to be in education and have a better eye. But yeah, like...
But yeah, I think that's my biggest thing is I like knowing that that's there. Number one, because I do think I think on the side of what should be. You should be able to do whatever you want to do because you. And you think on the side of, let's think about what's probably going on now. Like, not the shoulda, coulda,
let's not endanger anybody when they leave out the house.
Yeah.
And I do know at some point she's going to wear things, but I think she'll be able to control the situation. I think she'll be able to do that. But I just feel like in school, you can't control what other guys are thinking. And she likes guys now. So, or she at least mentions when somebody's cute. And I don't need him to be thinking anywhere remotely close to what I was thinking at their age. And I was a nice guy. But just because you're a nice guy don't mean you don't have bad habits or bad exposure to things you should not be doing.
Fair.
So, yeah. So anybody you want to give a shout out before we get out of here? I want to give a shout out to you because I know that throughout this podcast, Rescription, that you were up and down and you was like, what are you doing? And I feel like it ended on a really good note, and people can see how a really serious situation in our household that we were really having discussions about, and it was still alive, even in this conversation where we came to an understanding. Yeah, and we're still like working it through. So because I love my wife and I love my kids, and I want them to know that I support them, and I don't want any language to make me feel like I don't want to be that person. I want to be a person that's very understanding and is going to support, but also be aware of things that they may not be able to see. And you guys actually saw that conversation with me and my wife, and we appreciate you spending time with us again. Which y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA, get after that action, or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose. Boom.